Hey, today we're heading out for a real blast from the past.
Blast of hot air?
No, better yet. We're headed to Pawnee for the Pawnee Steam and Gas Engine Show.
Cool.
Gearhead Central, let's go. We decided we needed to go for a ride, and I said, hey, I got a great idea. Let's go down the longest U.S. highway in Oklahoma. That's right. Wait for it. US 64. Over 600 miles, crosses all the way across the state, through the Panhandle, the whole bit, and we decided to ride 50 miles of it.
Running fast, try to get away. Going to the bayou when no one knows my name. No one knows my name. Won't you hide me off on the red river is my grave, is my grave.
US 64 runs the entire width of Oklahoma, and it's very much like Osage County. It's this rolling hills, really a nice part of the countryside, in my opinion. You know, you're still in that foothills of the Ozarks, as it were. You know, the occasional oil pump here and there, just to, you know, kind of remind you that you're in Oklahoma.
During the summer months, this road is normally lined with flags, and it's become a local tradition. They apparently didn't know we were coming today, so they didn't get them up in time. Earlier on, it was known as Gate City.
Cleveland was the only place to cross the Arkansas River for many years between Tulsa and the Kansas state line. So the town became a point of commerce with the Osage tribe that owned this land over here.
Then in 1904, oil was discovered and a boomtown was born. Welcome to Herbert's.
Fred, over here, over here.
Welcome to Cleveland.
In 1893, a guy named Herbert opened a post office over there. The post office was not a fan and revoked his license. But about a year later, he opened another one here and named it after Grover Cleveland. The bustling metropolis of Cleveland, Oklahoma was born. Population, 211.
So every year they have Herbert Days where they take these cardboard replicas of buildings and race down the street for 100 feet. They give out a lot of sherbet. It's a fun time is had by all.
We happened to cruise through Cleveland on the same weekend they were having the 100-mile garage sale. All the shops along the main drag in Cleveland had, were having sidewalk sales and stuff like that. And so we cruised up and down the main drag, and people were looking at us and saying, wow, those guys are really cool. So we headed out of Cleveland and headed westbound on US 64. And just a few miles outside of town, I saw this road that was called Blackburn Road. And so I wondered, well, what the heck's that? So we turned to find out. And come to find out, it's called that because there's a town called Blackburn. Who knew?
We turn down Blackburn Road, find pretty good sized ghost town, for a ghost town. Few people live in there still. Most of the buildings are there on the main street.
We drove through town, and there's not a whole lot left of Blackburn these days, but they're building a new bridge. So we got to drive over the old one, and I'm wondering if it'll still be there the next time I pass through Blackburn. It could be gone.
So after we explored the complete town of Blackburn, went back out and continued on our trip. Not too much longer, you'll come upon Skeety Road. And well, we just had to go to Skeety because, I mean, how often do you find a town named Skeety?
So we're driving up this, like, you know, kind of gravel road, and we thought, this is probably a waste of time. And then there's this monument, like in the middle of the road. And it's like this weird little statue in this little ghost town out in the middle of Oklahoma. Who knew?
Taking the back roads and the Pawnee. No US 64 for us. No, we are talking like 2-lane, unnamed, middle of nowhere in Pawnee County, and we discover this.
The father of all bacon, we believe, Chief Baconrind.
Must be. I never knew.
So we really enjoyed Skeety. It was a very interesting thing. I'd never been there before, and you know, just one of those great little on-the-road surprises that you discover out in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma. But we had to get back on the road and get to Pawnee for the fast-paced, action-packed steam engine action.
Grandpa hopped the freight train and came up from Louisiana. He'd heard about the oil patch and the gold under the land. He left behind his ma and pa when he was just 15. Came to Oklahoma to chase a wildcat dream. Black gold.
Well, you know, Pawnee has so many different things going on, but for me, the first stop has got to be Steam Engine Park, where they have the annual steam engine show. It's always held in May, and it's one of the largest in the Southwest, from what I understand. And it's just contraptions of all shapes and sizes, and it's all big and heavy and greasy, and it's just a really fun time.
We're here at the Oklahoma Steam and Gas Engine Show, and we met up with Jeff Detweiler, who seems to know a whole heck of a lot more than either one of us do, so we're going to give him a chance to talk.
This is probably the only place in Oklahoma where you can step out of your car and step back about 80 years in time. The steam show started out in about 1964. What we've tried to do here is recreate an early agricultural setting. So in the 19-teens and 20s, after steam left the rails and came to the farm and started what was known as the agricultural revolution, that's what we're here to preserve and to educate our younger generations on.
So you don't just have the static exhibits
Absolutely.
sitting here. I see them all running and people stoking the engines. Is that the right word?
Yes, yeah, we like to exercise the engines.
And I guess you do some demonstrations with the things.
Yes.
To like to show them off, show what they normally do.
Right, and we try to put them through the paces that they did when they were first coming out of the factory back in the teens and 20s. We run a full-size sawmill here, and so we take logs, full-size logs, and we'll turn them into dimension lumber.
Cut them up for the kids to play with.
Well, we make shingles. We have a shingle mill.
Okay.
So we have the full start to finish from a lumber making operation.
Well, it looks like a lot of fun out here.
It is. There's something for everybody. I love history, and my family, my grandfather was a steam engine operator, and I fell in love with it so much that I had to buy one myself about 10 years ago.
What kind is it?
It's a case. It's a 1921 65 horse case steam traction engine.
You want to go take a look?
Let's go take a look.
All right. So this is it.
This is her. This is a 91-year-old piece of history. It's a JI case, 65 horse steam traction engine. It was used to plow the prairie sod back in the days when steam left the rails and came to the farm. With this engine, I can power a threshing machine. It ran a sawmill, feed grinders. You could.
So they didn't just use them out in the field.
Right. They were any means of power supply on the farm. Yes.
Can we hear a run?
Let's take a look.
All right. I'd never driven a steam-powered anything, let alone this big monster of a tractor. Nothing about these things happens right now. Everything happens eventually. You turn the wheel 5, 10 times, 10 revolutions, and it'll start turning. We went over and watched the incline test where they run these things up a huge incline, go up, stop, and then have to go again, and then come back down. And it looked tricky enough, knowing after I drove this one tractor how hard they are to control. It was pretty fascinating that they could do this with the steam tractors.
Is that all you got in here?
Me a shingle and a small hay bale.
Thank you.
In the center of Steam Engine Park is this thing they call the powerhouse. Inside, it's really cool because they have like a vintage style machine shop set up and a boiler outside that's running a very, very rare coreless steam engine.
This engine is an Alice Chalmers coreless engine. It's a steam engine that provided the power for the zinc smelting plant in Blackwell, Oklahoma.
For the whole plant?
For the entire plant. It was built in 1916, and this engine gave 45 years of continuous use without any breakdowns.
And I guess it's still running.
And it's still running. We got it out of the zinc smelter plant in 1974 when they were closing and going to demolish the plant. We rescued it from the plant and brought it here, set it up, built the foundation, built the barn around it, and so we could preserve that piece of history.
Really, it's neat to see up close.
And it's just people can get hands-on and get up close and see just what it took and how beautiful these machines were. Because it's a piece of art as much as it is a mechanical wonder.
So anytime I lost Rex, I knew immediately, look for the quilting. And sure enough, found the big quilting building where they were displaying them all. There he was, hanging out there. Rex had to stop by and check out the quilts. Everywhere we go, he has to check out the quilting.
Sure, a lot of work.
I gotta admit, I'm surprised none of them seem to have a steam engine motif. I guess I was expecting there'd be at least a couple that would be, kind of, getting with the program here.
So after seeing the quilt display, I was so excited. I ran home, bought me a serger, sat down. I am working on a crazy quilt. Let me tell you, it is something else, man. It is awesome.
Some peanuts would really hit the spot.
Be my baby. Be my baby. Be my baby.
I hear you have ice cold peanuts. Oh, hot. Oh, well, I guess that's okay.
That's where the band starts rocking when the sun goes down.
So I had a blast at the steam show. If you ever have a chance, you gotta get there. They sell food and souvenirs, and I'm sure shirts and everything else, and quilts. If I didn't mention that, Rex would be upset. So get yourself to the Pawnee Steam Show. After we finished up at the steam show, we headed over to the other side of town, Pawnee, and went to the Pawnee Bill Ranch.
we made it through Pawnee and cruised up to Pawnee Bill's. That's a fun museum. It's the buffalo, the whole ranch thing. It's really cool, and if you've never been there, you really ought to go because it's a really cool place.
So we were told that when you come to Pawnee, you've got to stop by Gordon Lilly's place. But who's this Gordon Lilly guy?
Gordon William Lilly was better known as Pawnee Bill.
Aha!
He's perhaps best known for his Wild West show, which toured all throughout America from 1888 to 1913.
This is Anna Davis here at the Pawnee Bill Museum, and she knows all about this wonderful stuff. So this is the Pawnee Bill Mansion.
Yes.
There's a barn. There's a log cabin.
Mm-hmm.
There's a buffalo.
Yes, there are. We are still a working bison ranch, just like Pawnee Bill had back in 1900.
Okay. And so he was quite the showman. He was like he was very successful with the whole Wild West show thing, right?
He was one of the few that was extremely successful with his Wild West show, and his ran from 1888 to 1913 and toured all throughout America here in the state of Oklahoma, and this is finally where he settled down at after his career ended in 1913.
Okay, cool. So where should we start? With the mansion maybe?
Yeah, let's go inside.
Okay, cool. Let's hope it's air conditioned in there.
The mansion was built in 1910, and we're very unique because everything in here is original. We have nothing that was a reproduction, and you won't find any other museums out there like us. And it was built by Pawnee Bill and his wife May, and they lived here until they both passed away. And then the house passed into family's hands, and it was owned until 1962 before it became a museum. So it's actually been a museum for 50 years
Wow,
now.
so you're very fortunate for all of that to still be
We are
intact.
extremely fortunate to still be intact, yes. Everything's still intact.
Neat. Now, how big is this place?
The house itself is about 5,200 square feet.
Okay.
It has 14 rooms, 6 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Okay, cool. Can we go upstairs?
Yep.
Okay, neat. Let's go. So upstairs, there's this painting up there that has a ghost image on it. It was painted in 1925, and the theory is that the artist painted it over another painting. But the weird part was, it was many years later before this ghost image started showing through. As a matter of fact, it was only a year after Will Rogers died in a tragic plane crash in Alaska. Coincidence? I think not.
So this original looking log cabin was set up just so he could show off to his friends that he used to live there. And he would bring them in and tell them that's the way he used to live, and that's how he lived when he was building the ranch and putting it together.
The guy never lived in it a day in his life. They built the cabin out there just to show off to people that came to visit them in the mansion. Oh yes, that's where we were roughing it back when we first moved in. They never roughed it. They were living in the mansion the whole time when they got there. If you're a fan of Antiques Roadshow, you may have seen the episode where they visited Pawnee Bill's museum and looked at this huge, giant sign that is literally the wall from this drugstore that someone unearthed, and it's one of these big posters that was glued to this wooden wall, like at the turn of the century.
This was a very unique find. It was found in Lamont, Oklahoma in 1982. What you see here is actually the outside of the building. And what Pawnee Bill would do is he would send what they called advance men before the show.
Right.
They would post up posters, paint advertisements like this. So this is actually advertising a one-day show. They did all this work for one day.
Wow.
And it was advertising a show, I believe, in Blackwell, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And what has happened is during the history of the building that it was originally a part of, they bricked over the painted part. So as they were tearing down the original pharmacy, they discovered this gem behind it.
Right.
And it's about 60 feet long. It's one of the longest advertisements that have ever been found. And as far as we know, it's the only one like it in the world.
Wow.
Well, ever since I was a little kid, we've been riding at Stagecoach. That's how we came back from Oklahoma. That's just how old I am. So it was kind of nice to see them again. Rex, you have any experience with them?
Well, my ancestors were more like chasing the stagecoach.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Why do I feel like I'm in a Mel Brooks movie? The thing about stagecoach travel anymore is, $25 a bag. That's ridiculous. I mean, you can ride Southwest and the bags are free. So we'd had a full day cruising through Pawnee County on US 64, and Pawnee Bill seemed like a fitting place for us to, wait for it, ride off into the sunset.
We're going to wrap up our day now.
We've had a great time exploring Pawnee County, cruising US 64, and I really enjoyed exploring some of the back roads to these little ghost towns that we discovered. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thanks for watching Two Wheel Oklahoma.
Let's go.
Not long down the road, we come.
That was clumsy.
Yeah, it was close.
Peanuts are not legumes. No, they would not be legumes until they are shelled. Jeez.
A full white leisure suit.
Full Don Johnson.
Purple
No socks.
shirt, showing my all three chest hairs, showing out. Well, just saying.
Yeah, that's probably as good as that's going to get.